Well, so glad that you are with us tonight. This is going to be our last regular Wednesday night of the year 2025. I thought there were going to be like some sad sighs. Oh, I'm sad about it too. I know that your heart's broken. But it won't be the last Wednesday night that we have together just of this year, because next Wednesday there will be a church-wide rehearsal for all those involved in the spirit of Christmas, and that'll be adult and children together. And so just be heads up on that. But what I wanted to do with our last Wednesday night that we'll have in this year is remind you that really for the balance of most of this school semester, we have been in this single series that I have kind of called Authentic Christianity, what it means to live out the gospel and to allow the gospel to impact every single area of your life. Can you guys help me remember what some of the areas that we have talked about how the gospel should impact are? Yeah, our time, our money, our hobbies, our jobs, our families, hearts, our minds, our church. We talked about that, I think, 1 week ago. And so we went on and on and on. And really tonight will be kind of the culmination of that. Tonight what you're going to hear is a report from one of our mission teams that has recently spent a week ministering to people in the country of Thailand. And so they just got back Sunday night, this past Sunday night, and they spent a week ministering there in Thailand. And so we're going to spend tonight letting you hear a little bit from them about what it's like, not only to let the gospel impact your life that you lead on a day-to-day basis here, but also how that impact of the gospel on your life may take you even into foreign fields and foreign countries, and the opportunities to serve Christ even in situations like that. So I'm going to invite our Thailand mission team onto the stage, at least the ones that we have so far. Come on up. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves and then tell us about some of your other team members as well who aren't able to be here tonight, and at least one that is going to join us just as soon as she gets done with the kids' choir.
All right, everybody knows me. I'm Beverly Bridges. This was my 18th trip to Chiang Rai, Thailand, to work with the Northern Thailand Impact Ministry, Bon Atitan Church, and Grace Language School. The two that could not be here tonight would be Melanie Keenan, who is still in Bangkok visiting friends as we speak. She'll be home on Friday. Josh Jones was our male chaperone, and he is on the coast doing a presentation for work, so he wasn't able to be here, and I hate that more than anything because he was the best. And Kelly, his wife, will be here shortly when she finishes with children's choir.
Hi, I'm Darlene Staley, for those that don't know me, and this was my very first mission trip ever in my life, so I picked a good one.
So you've got two of the mission team members here. One has been 18 times, did you say, to Thailand, and one, this was the very first trip. So Beverly, maybe tell us a little bit about how you got started going to Thailand, why you've been there 18 times, and then Darlene, we'll let you tell us a little bit about how you got called into going or decided to go on this trip as your first time.
About in 2007, I believe it was, I was working in missions mobilization at the Mississippi Baptist Convention, where I still work. But I was working for a gentleman by the name of Ken Rhodes, and I have longed most of my life to do international missions, but back in the day when I was a kid, that just wasn't really an option unless you wanted to go serve full-time on the field. And I thought at that point in my life I had had a calling to do that, but I made some bad decisions, as we do when we're young people, and was never able to fulfill that call. But while working for Ken and being in the mobilization department that helps short-term mission volunteers as well as long-term go, I began to talk to him about how in the world do you pick a place to go? I didn't have a clue. Do you just pick a place out on the map? And he told me some words I will never forget, and many of you have heard me say this. He said, pray that God will put a place on your heart that you cannot get away from. And I was like, okay. But I did. And the opportunity came in 2008 to visit Chiang Rai, Thailand, to work with a gentleman named Michael Johnson, who's been in our church many times. And God gave me an incredible love for Thai people, for serving in that particular part of the world, teaching English, which I don't know how, I'm not a teacher, but God has gifted and equipped me to do what He's called me to do, and my primary purpose is to advocate for them and to take others along with me. And over the years, I've probably taken, 30 to 40 people to serve there. And as I said, sometimes the Thai bug bites. It's bitten all of my family, and sometimes it doesn't. But this was Josh's second time. He went back on one of the very first teams that I led. So this was his second time. It was Kelly's first, Melanie's first, and Darlene's
Speaking
first.
of Kelly, she just appeared over here. Kelly has been working with our children, as we mentioned, getting them ready for some wonderful singing that you're going to see this coming Sunday and the next week. But Kelly, tell us a little bit about your mission trip experience and how many trips you've been on before this one.
I started trying to count, and I lost count around 10. I was really fortunate. I have two parents that care very much about mission trips growing up, and so they felt like that was always something we needed to do as a family. Some places that I've been to Honduras several times working with, I was a dental assistant, which, as an English teacher really fits. And then we did some Haitian refugee camps in the Bahamas for several summers teaching English. So those are the two that really, when I was thinking about, those are two that really stick with me as the ones I loved the most. So.
And when you said you grew up in a family, when did you first go? How old were you when you went on your first trip?
I was probably in late elementary school, and we went with an FCA group somewhere, but I can't remember where. It was domestic, though.
Yeah. So you went very early in life. Beverly, it was a little bit later when you decided to go. Let's hear, Darlene, tell us a little bit about your decision to go on this trip and how you came to that conclusion.
So Beverly twisted my arm. Seriously, so we haven't been members quite 2 years here. So if you told me 2 years ago when we started coming here that I would in 2 years be going to Thailand, I'd be like, yeah, right. But God does what God does. And Beverly last year was already asking me to go to Thailand. So she had already kind of planted a seed for me to potentially go. And just with prayer and just pros and cons, and there was really no good reason not to go. It's like you can rationalize your way out of anything, you can pray your way into everything, but it was kind of like, why not? The only thing I have to do is gain something, and try not to cry tonight, but I probably will. We're very tired. Day 3 of jet lag is a real thing. But, it really was Beverly encouraging me, which is what, I think a lot of what she said, I kind of feel it's like my role now is to advocate for more people going on mission trips, whether it's domestically or internationally. I really love the Thai people. They are beautiful, wonderful people. They need teams coming, so that'll be kind of something that I really encourage. And I love that Kelly shared that her family went together, because I really feel like Thailand's a fantastic opportunities for families to go, because it's such a safe nation and place to be for kids and for adults. So I think it's a great opportunity for families.
So you mentioned a couple things. I hope you guys picked up on it. Darlene said, I think I'll get the quote right. She didn't have a reason not to go. Just cue in your mind on that. It wasn't that she needed a reason to go. We have that reason to go already. We've been called to do that. And so unless you've got a specific reason not to, maybe that's a good indication that we ought. And then you've heard some of the different ranges of how people decided to and went in their experience. So tell us a little bit about this particular Thailand trip. Just a quick overview of kind of what the travel was like, what the days were like, and the kind of ministry that you did. And I'll just let you ladies kind of decide who wants to tell what on that. And I know we have some pictures, so whenever we get to that time, there is somebody somewhere that is, when you say put those up, they're miraculously going to show up on the screens
Sure.
behind
They
us.
can miraculously appear now. We just gave a plethora of things, and I'll just let them kind of filter through, and maybe if one of them happens to coincide, I'll talk about it. But I think the question was, what were our days like? And that
Yeah,
sort of
just
thing. Okay.
describe the trip.
And I want to preface with this is Darlin, by the way, because the kids could not pronounce Darlene. They struggled with that, so she ended up being Darlin. Or Francis, yes. So we went. Our mission there was to help this school, Grace Language School, teach English. That is their way of getting people into their church, into their ministry. They have some of the best teachers I have ever worked with, and they are not native English speakers, but they can teach English better than I can with 4 years of college training. And so we did 2 days where we went to schools that were not inside the church, and we did what we called an English Fun Day, and that's actually one of the schools that we went to that was up in the mountainous region outside of Shanghai. And each of us were assigned a station, and Melanie and Josh too. So we had stations for our continents, and we went over words that had to do with our continents. So, for example, my continent was South America, so we talked about rivers and mountains. Very basic English words, but just getting them exposure to the language. This is a very popular thing that the Thai people want to learn. They want to learn English because it's something that can make them marketable in their jobs and that sort of thing. And so we had that day, that's not even close to the amount that we had. There were probably, 197 kids before it was over. They just kept coming. I don't know if they heard the white people were there or what, but because they were very fascinated by that. So they just kept coming. We had a bunch in our group, and they were boisterous, to say the least. But we had the best time. I have gotten a kick out of the fact that none of them really spoke English, but they knew the trend 6-7. If you're a teacher, they knew that one. They got that one. And so that was one of the days. The other day, we went to a school that was a little bit closer to our area. It was about 30 minutes away, and we were at more of a city school. So those students were a little bit more affluent. They were a little bit better at English, that sort of thing. But we still had a great time. Some of them were playing soccer. We got to play soccer with them. Play soccer. I'm not athletic, but I did run around a little bit. And then the other times that we were not in the schools, we were with Grace Language School at night, teaching with their classes that they have on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then we did a Saturday camp. And just one other thing that we did, this young lady right here, her name is Lynn. She is a child at Bon Eden, which is a ministry related to the church that is a girls' home, and Josh and I actually sponsor her, so we got to meet her for sort of like a Compassion International thing. We got to meet her for the first time, and that was really special to us. So,
I will say with the Bon Eden, we were able to worship with them on Wednesday night, and that was such a special experience. We sang songs. They sang in Thai and English, so they had 4 folks up front, so 2 that sang Thai and then 2 that sang English. So you heard a mix of English and Thai language, and it was so beautiful. And then they actually did Bible study, and they spoke scripture in Thai. And if you've never heard Thai language strung out and spoken, it is so beautiful and so moving. That's probably one of the highlights of my trip, is just to experience God through the Thai people in their language.
This is a picture from Thursday night where we met with the Grace Language students, not in class, but we had a coffee house, they call it. I never saw any coffee, but they called it a coffee house. But we were able to play games with them at first, and then afterwards we shared Thanksgiving traditions with them, and just a little bit about what our country, how we celebrated. We got them to write down 3 things they were grateful for. We taught them a few words, and Darlin from Mississippi talked about her Thanksgiving tradition of making dressing. So one of the important things in teaching Thai's English is to make sure they finish with the consonants. Darlin forgot to do that, and so we had lots of fun laughing. But that was one of the things we were able to do. We did not get to worship in the church on Sunday because we were traveling. Both of the Sundays we were gone, but we did, as she said, get to worship with the Bon Eden girls. Our church currently sponsors 4 children from Bon Eden. That's House of Eden is what it's called, and we've had a long-standing relationship with them. I also sponsor one of the staff from there. And it's an incredible ministry. It's 25 years old. And so pray for Bon Eden, because they help these young women who are either rescued out of something, trafficking or that type of thing. Their parents could be imprisoned, or they're just from hill tribes and don't have access to education and opportunity. So they come and live at this girl's home.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the maybe cultural differences between here and the Thai people that you minister to, and then also maybe a little bit about the spiritual differences of the climate that you are ministering in when you go onto the field in Thailand?
Well, the saying is in Thailand, to be Thai is to be Buddhist. Buddhism is about 96% of the population are Buddhist, and it's entrenched in who they are. They're also animist, which is spirit worshipers, so pretty much at every business and home there are spirit houses outside of the home or the business, and so you will see people come and make offerings of food or drink, and you will see monks back and forth on the street, and people go up and make offerings to them. So it's a very spiritually dark place. The first time I ever went, I thought all this spirit worship, I was thinking voodoo, woo-woo, it's just it's a joke. It is not. Spiritual warfare is real. Darkness is real on every street corner, even in the safest of places. Of course, where we go is very safe, but it is very real. The darkness, the spiritual darkness. I no longer notice the cultural differences because I've been so many times, so I'm going to let the other ladies speak to that, but they can talk also about the spiritual darkness.
I think with culture, I mean, they are incredibly kind people. One of the things I notice most is, you know, in America we can get pretty loud. That doesn't happen there at all. They don't like conflict, so, you know, it's just, there's a lot of hospitality. They were so kind to us and took care of us. But we went to one temple, and I'll speak to that from a spiritual darkness standpoint, at the White Temple. It's just, you know, I encourage you to look it up on the internet, to get the visual picture of what it was about. But as you go into the temple, you're kind of walking over what is depicted as hell, and there's kind of hands reaching up in this art sculpture thing. But it was pretty heavy to walk over that and just imagine that unless you are a Christian, you're walking over. I mean, it just kind of reinforced how important it is to go on mission, whether it's here in Florence or in Thailand. There's such a need for us to spread the gospel because there's so many people that just do not know about it, and it was so present there for me to see.
Yeah, we talked about after visiting the White Temple, it is so interesting, or I don't know if that's the word, but for lack of a better one, they got that part so right. Like the depiction of that, of hell and walking into heaven, they got so right, and everything else just felt so wrong. So it's interesting how you can get part of it, but not get the whole thing, you know, and I think that's what a lot of that, the people there have a lot of what we would call the fruits of the Spirit, so to speak, but they don't have the Spirit, and that's the part they're really, really missing. And so it was really heavy to go into some of those places, because it felt very like we were being attacked for being there, and not by the people, just kind of in a spiritual way, for being there, for being Christian and that sort of thing. I would say that I envy their culture because it is so kind, it's so considerate, and as an educator, they value education, and we don't always get that in America either. So there were a lot of things that I enjoyed very, very much about being in that culture. It was very relaxed. We don't always get that part of it here. Mm-hmm. Chill.
As Boone said.
Yeah, they chill all the time.
So you've described a little bit about the spiritual culture and the darkness there. How do you guys specifically try and speak the gospel into that culture? How do you take advantage of those opportunities, whether specifically evangelistic or just to speak the truth of God's Word into those situations through what you do with language.
So one thing I noticed about the church and the staff is that they are very open about prayer. And no matter where we were in a culture that was not into that, they prayed and they prayed loudly. And I loved that about them because it's not an obtrusive way of doing things, because they are such a considerate people. You don't want to kind of get in their face, so to speak. But they are very adamant about prayer. Pastor Michael was very adamant about, like, what can we pray for you about, that sort of thing. And so I think taking those opportunities it helps build the foundation for what they're doing later. And we talked about that a lot, because when you go into the schools, they ask us not to talk about the gospel directly because it's such a predominantly Buddhist area, and we don't want to ruin those relationships. So small things like that, where the kids see us praying over our lunch, even those kinds of small things, I think, make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think if, you know, we didn't really get the chance to share the gospel with non-believers while we were there, just because that's not really for this specific mission trip. It's really to help support Michael and the staff in the communities, building relationship, because building the trust with the Thai people is so key, such a key part of eventually getting to spread the gospel. So it's, as Michael kind of says, he has to plow the fields before he can even plant the seeds of the gospel. And we are there to kind of help plow those fields in those communities.
Relationships are important to Thai people. So they have to trust you before they're going to listen to you. Pat Taylor, I saw her somewhere. There she is. Pat and I have a Thai daughter that we have shared the gospel with for some 9 years now. The first time I tried, she said, "I'm Buddhist, I can't talk about it." But now she will drive 3 to 4 hours just to visit us for 15 or 20 minutes. So God's still working in her heart, but she's just not to that point. And that's the beauty of the Thai staff that we work with at the church and Grace Language School. They are first-generation believers. No one else in their family has believed. And Ja, one of my closest friends, has worked for Michael for 23 years as his accountant. And she, I don't know, about a year ago, sent me a messenger and said, "Can I call you?" It was like 5 a.m., and lucky for me, I was up. And she called me, and she said, "My father accepted Christ." And that's something I'd prayed for since the first time I met her. Boom is actually a second-generation Christian. She has been here with us. Her sister tricked her, she says, into Christianity, because she said, if you come to the church, they'll teach you to play the guitar. But she is now, all 4 of the Thai staff are in seminary, trying to get their degrees so that when Michael passes on, that the ministry will continue.
So you guys have heard a little bit about the trip. I'm going to pause right here. We've got some time left. Are there any questions that you would like to ask about the mission trip and the opportunity? I've got some more, but I'll take some from the floor. Did you hear that? The question was, do they believe in heaven and hell? Maybe expound a little bit on how they believe about that.
In a whole different way. Thai people have to make merit. It's all about doing things to be good enough. And just like there are devout believers in the United States and other parts of the world, there are devout Buddhists, but there's also some that it's just cultural. And they have cultural Christianity. I was a little bit surprised about how I heard about cultural Christianity. You can claim it on your driver's license in Thailand. So, yeah, it's the same attitude. They're devout about something. They worship something, whether it's themselves or God or Buddha.
And it's essentially a system where if you do enough good,
you'll go to heaven.
You'll get to what they would refer to as heaven. If not, you won't. Other questions?
Yes. You want to do it? Talk about it. That's okay. Because Doug and Paula.
The question was, where did they stay and what kinds of things did they eat?
Yeah. So the hotel we stayed at was literally right next door to the church and the school, so we were able to walk back and forth, and it was a fantastic hotel. The food there is delicious. We had a little bit of everything. We even had Burger King, and we had KFC. I did not have KFC, but they did. So there's a lot of American things happening in Thailand. So don't think if you go that you only can eat Asian food. That's not true. You can have your Whopper if you want one. I want to quickly mention on the screen at one point you would have seen a sign for University of Piao, that one. So Doug and Paulette, who were here this summer for Taste of Thailand, are two other missionaries that are serving there with Michael, and they are about to open up kind of a satellite, if you will, Grace Language School in Paao. The University of Paao has over 20,000 college students. And on their heart are college students. So they've already found a building and leased it. They've got some renovations to do, and their hope is to have a Grace Language School open in the next year in Paao to start reaching out to those college kids. Did you have anything
That
to
was
add
all.
to that?
Yeah. No, we just forgot to mention.
Yes, basically the university plus the city's about 40,000 people. So the university is as large as the city, and so there's great opportunity there. They're already making connections with professors and actual believers that already live there to try to establish a foundation. They'll begin with a house church when they move.
And so there's tons and tons of opportunity, tons and tons of people, specifically young people, that want to learn English,
Yes.
that will do a lot to be there to learn English, and it's an open door in large part for people who are willing to come and teach them that and then be an influence for the gospel while they're there.
Especially Southerners, because we talk real slow.
Yeah, and I will say I'm not an English teacher, as evidenced by the story Beverly told about me. And you know, like that's one of the things I will say that God's done for me is like even being up here tonight talking. I do not like being in front of people at all. And I'm usually find myself shaking and very nervous and not able to talk. So God works on us in so many different ways without us even knowing it. So even me standing up in front of kids who I've never, taught in front of and never taught, I was still able to do that, and it wasn't because of me. So just know that you don't have to feel like, be an English teacher to go teach English there. You just have to be willing to go and share a smile and a hug and show them Jesus that way.
Speaking of hugging, in the group of 197 students, after they had hugged all over us and we had hugged all over them, we found out 11 of them had head lice. So just so far we're clean. But those children that Kelly was talking about, they were the you don't have to worry, you don't have a lot. That school that was up in the mountains, they were so hungry for love, and they were just, there's pictures after pictures of them just hugging all of us and just wanting to be loved.
So we're nearing the end of our time. So just briefly, if you would, maybe for those who have not been on a mission trip or maybe would consider going on, what would you say to someone who may be thinking about going on a trip?
Go. That would be it. Go to Thailand. I would love to take you. Nothing thrills my soul more than seeing these new people that have never been there fall in love with the same people I've been in love with for 18 years, and to use their skills. Kelly and Josh, very skilled. Melanie, all of them were very skilled in teaching English. Melanie does English as a second language, but God still managed to figure out a way to use Starlene and me, and has used me for that long. Don't be afraid that you're not equipped, because God equips. He's not looking for your, what is it? He's not looking for
Ability.
your ability. He's looking for your availability. You say, I don't have any money. It's expensive, no lie. The plane tickets alone are about $2,800, and you're like, whoa, what? Our church is generous, the convention is generous, and I have never once lacked the money to go, even when I took my two daughters. We always had enough money, and God surprised me, by the way, with two unexpected gifts. One from my Sunday school class, and I will shout out to them, but I found out when I got there that there had been serious flooding in southern Thailand, which is what northern Thailand experienced about a year ago, and so the money that my class gave me, I was able to bless the churches in that area to go out and to minister to the people. There's no easier way to reach people with the Gospels when they're in trouble.
I mean, it is, I heard even my husband say after he went to North Dakota for the first time, just go. I mean, that's such a true statement, but I've never felt more fulfilled in my life. It's so easy to be wrapped around self. And when you go, whether it's here, locally, in the U.S., or to, internationally, and you go to serve, the focus gets off you and it gets on God, which is exactly where it needs to be, but it will change you in the best possible way. And, if you let it, that's the key. You have to be open, you have to be willing. And I mean, it was a wonderful experience, and I will go back. I can't wait to go back, because God is moving there, and there's a lot of work to be done, and they need help. They need teams going. They need young people going to help with the young, because we have to reach the young there. Can the older Thai people be reached? Absolutely, as evidenced by Ja's dad. But if we can get to the youth, get them early, then they have a better chance of, even starting a family and raising generations of Christians.
They said everything I would say, with the exception of Thailand is a really far place, and you don't have to do that if that's not your thing. We've talked about many times, like, we have a food pantry. You can walk from here, and that's a mission. Like, you don't have to go to Thailand. I would love to go with you to Thailand, just to clarify. But if that's not your jam, if planes are not your thing, if going across the world is not your thing, that is one thing that I hope to impress on you and my own child and all of the people that I know, is that it doesn't take a plane ride to do a mission trip. Now, if you want to go, come on. I'm ready to go back. My jet lag's still happening, so I think if I just went back, it would sort itself out. But I do hope that you will also consider that it doesn't take going 16 hours on a plane to do any of that. So that's all I wanted to add. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
Would you guys just help me thank them by giving them a hand for sharing some about their trip tonight? I just want to wrap up our time together by reminding you of some of the things that they said that you heard that I hope will be impactful. One, we have been given a commission to go. So if you're looking for a reason to go and you can't seem to find one, maybe try to just find a reason not to. And if you can't find that, then go ahead and get signed up for a trip. There are going to be multiple opportunities for you to participate in mission trips in our church in the years to come. If you want some more information about that, you can talk to Chuck about that. He's got some trips already scheduled. I believe we have our Brotherhood summer trip, which is going to be the third week in June this summer, that is already scheduled, that Mr. Donald can get you some information about. And there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities. So find one that works for you, and make sure that you are participating in the mission, the big mission that we are all called to participate in. Because genuine Christianity, living the authentic faith that God's Word calls us to, always ends the same. It always ends in going somewhere at some time to tell the gospel to someone. And for all of us, that is the same. Let me close our time together tonight, and then we'll wrap up, and I'll remind you just about a couple of announcements. God, thank you for the opportunity to be in your house. Thank you for the truth of your word that was shared through testimony tonight. And God, I pray that you would Let those words of testimony continue to glorify you and to move in our hearts, to encourage and inspire and motivate us to be a part of the mission that you have called us to participate in. And God, that we would find ways to be intentional about participating in it. God, that we would do that corporately as a church well, but we would also do it personally and in our individual lives. God, I pray you would continue to make our church a place where people are just constantly sent out to the nations, including the nation that we live in. And God, I pray that as that happens, you would be glorified and honored and praised. God, thank you for those who have participated in this trip and for those who will in the trips that are coming up and in the season ahead. And God, we are thankful for your work in that and pray you continue to multiply it here. God, again, thank you for the opportunity to be in your house and for the blessing of your presence and your word this night. We pray these things in your name. Amen. Hey, really quickly, don't forget, I mentioned earlier, but next Wednesday night, we won't have our regular Wednesday night prayer meeting. It will just be Spirit of Christmas rehearsal. So if you're a part of that, then plan to be in here for that. And don't miss it. Also, don't forget, as soon as we conclude tonight, if you have children, you need to go and get them, and then we're going to give you just a quick turnaround to come back because we have a business meeting at 7 o'clock. It may be 7:05 before we get started. We'll give you a few minutes to get back to take a vote on our church budget, and so that will be at the conclusion of tonight. And then don't forget, Spirit of Christmas is not this Sunday night, but next Sunday night, and so it's a great time to be inviting people and letting them know about that. An easy way for you to be on mission right here where we live is to invite someone to be a part of that celebration of the Christmas season that will happen here at 6 p.m. on that night, and so be sure and do that as well. Again, so glad that you are here. If you have children, go and get them. If you're staying for the business meeting, you're a member, then stay put, and we'll get started with that in just a few moments.
I set this city free.